How big was it to get out here and practice again and shake off a win and start focusing on the next game?
Yeah, turn the page and get a good sweat, but be smart. We probably went as light as we've gone the last month. Just want to get ahead of ourselves, but you got to physically and mentally prepare to play 3 days in a row. So clearly we got to focus on one game and got a great challenge playing a really good Oregon State team. But I just want to make sure physically and mentally they're ready if we're able to be here for the rest of the week.
I think I've heard you talk about it before, but can you just provide the background on the yellow shirts and the tour de defense, especially going into that weekend series?
It was kind of when you're the leader after a round of the Tour de France, they award you the yellow shirt. And so it really started with just one player, and if you made a great defensive play on a Tuesday practice, the yellow shirt was in your locker before Wednesday's practice, and you got to wear the yellow shirt the entire practice, so you were the leader. And so it was fun because pitchers were trying to get it with PFP and pickoffs, and obviously outfielders and infielders if they made a great catch or a great play. But then when we were transitioning into the ACC, I just remember thinking, okay, we're going to one of the premier baseball leagues in the country. You must pitch and defend. So we're going to emphasize this defensive shirt. And so we got one for every kid on the team, and that became the Thursday shirt before an ACC series. And so it becomes the Thursday shirt or the shirt before a regional, before a super regional, and obviously our practice day in Omaha because we were playing on Friday. We're running around in yellow shirts. So at least there's a little yellow in the beak. So there's a little bit of Louisville in it, but it's just a reminder. And we're kind of calling this a 3-game weekend series because, like I said, we're hoping to play the next 3 days.
Kind of on that defensive note, you guys have turned a couple big double plays here in Omaha, and you're one of the top double play teams in the country. How valuable is it to have guys that are on the same page where they can turn with such efficiency?
Yeah, it talks about trust in the pitching staff, where if you got some traffic and you're in a little bit of a trouble or your back's against the wall, hey, I could get out of this with one ground ball. And that's obviously trust in how talented our infielders are, especially those middle infielders. Kamayu and Alisea really stand out as a great double play combination. When Byram's in there, Byram's really good as well with his strong arm and skill set. So, it's part of our defensive DNA. With one pitch, let's get 2 out. So whether it's a walk, an HVP, an error, a hit, just because there's guys on base doesn't mean we can't get out of this. And as you see, you can gain a lot of momentum on defense. Everybody thinks you gotta hit a 3-run homer. Scoring runs is nice, but you really can get the momentum going on the defensive side. And I think of the double play, right? We turned in the final game of the Supers, right? The comebacker to Schweitzer, and that was probably the play of the game. Because it kept them from scoring, it got us off the field, and we had that momentum we needed to score that last run.
When you're talking about the double plays, can you talk just a little bit about the evolution of Tega at first base and just how much better he's gotten since he stepped on campus?
Well, it's fun. You always feel like, especially where we recruit, when you get kids from the Midwest and the Northeast, they're talented, and they're usually tough kids, but sometimes they're just a little raw because they don't get to be outside for 12 months a year. And I love that because you see guys, you see Nick Solak, you see Tyler Fitzgerald, you see guys, not that they weren't super talented when they got here, but it's like, man, I think we can get more out of them. And, Tague is one of those guys where, I'm not saying he was a bad first baseman when he got here, but, great hitter, super power, but he welcomed being coached, he welcomed being challenged, and I think he kind of enjoyed, like, wow, these guys are really into defense, and this guy's a little nutty, but man, he's really into good first base play. And if you're going to be great on defense, you have to have a great first baseman. And I've been blessed to coach many, and you see the value. My older brother was a first baseman his whole life. Number 29, Rod Carew, is his favorite player growing up. So I think Tague is probably his favorite player because more times than not, he's like, and sometimes not that I take it for granted, but I can't see in the dugout. But when you're watching on TV and you get multiple reviews of it, you realize, wow, what a great stretch, how he uses the bag, some of the short hops and digs, and And so he's been a fun kid to coach because he's got that growth mindset. He's not hard-headed. He's not stubborn. He doesn't have a fixed mindset. He's just very coachable. And with that skill set, man, yeah, the sky's the limit at first base.
You kind of shook up the lineup for yesterday's game. Any potential you might continue that, or?
Well, it's maybe a combination of just trying to get Alex has been swinging it and he competes. And I think just the emphasis of we got to move the ball. We got to put some more contact guys maybe to start this thing off. And then I thought, just putting Tague in between Eddie and Zion. I don't know how much we've protected Tague. And so I just thought, you know what, let's see how this looks. And it looks really good. I mean, obviously the ball he smokes gets caught and the ball he just puts in play drops. But like Zion said yesterday, that's just baseball. And I told Zion, man, like I have a feeling Tague's going to be protecting you an awful lot in the future. So why don't I stick you behind him and let you protect him right now? And it creates a lot of depth in our lineup, and it really, as we say, it's hard to take a deep breath because you get to any spot and you're like, holy cow, I got this Rose kid in the 7-hole. Like, man, when am I going to get a breather? And obviously Pike, who's been anywhere from 3 to 5 most of the year, now he's hitting 8th. And so it just shows you the depth and the talent and the trust we have in these guys in our lineup.
Then your 9-hole goes 4 for 4.
Yeah, I mean, that's the epitome of contact, right?
Yeah.
Move the ball and do it in ways. I hope we have fully bought into, now that we've played 2 games, not that you can't hit a home run, but different from the regionals and the super regionals, and the balls are flying out all those ballparks. It's just the way the wind's blowing there and the size of the park. You got to move the ball. And I guess when I looked at the box score yesterday, we only had 4 strikeouts, and that was to our benefit. I don't know how much we struck out, probably in the last 3 innings when we put the most pressure on them. We were rewarded for it. So hopefully we keep that mindset tomorrow. All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks everybody.